Question 5, how does religion affect social activism? So the first source I have comes from how social activism is evolving in African American churches. It basically outlines an interview between a woman who is studying law and politics and the interviewer. A particular part, she says, African Americans in the church have historically resisted violence. The nonviolent movement during the Civil Rights era was really an attempt to hold a mirror up to white Christians and white Christianity and call them to a higher moral ground. The Reverend Martin Luther King's message and the work of the men and the women who followed him emphasized nonviolence. But people can also look back in history and find people like Nat Turner who were willing to use violence in an attempt to assert their personhood and right to life. I think when it comes to religious views and social activism, I feel like it can go one of two ways. Either people keep their religious views up front, or their religious views take a back seat and their like emotional views kind of take over, and that's where we see like a lot of people who are almost like radical, and they're very affirmative in their faith. So when they're like affirmative in their faith and they're radical, then we get like radical Christians, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's something that like people think about when they talk about like abortion or gay marriage, like people who are like actively against such things, such movements, such civil rights issues almost. And so I think that lady kind of outlined it well, that there are people who are definitely willing to keep their religion at the forefront and be nonviolent and just work things out like the Reverend Martin Luther King. But then people like Nat Turner are not afraid to be on the front lines to throw a couple punches, a couple left hooks. The second source I have comes from a website called Science on Religion. And the title of the article is 5 Ways Religion Can Influence Political Beliefs. I'm only going to talk about one of them. He talks about the fourth type of influence that religion can have on political beliefs is rather than the religious experience, or is the political rather than the religious experience. And this was kind of what I was kind of saying earlier. It says, while an individual may hold to a religion ostensibly, the degree to which the individual is really engaged with religion is unclear. Although such a person may derive some inspiration from religion, what ultimately drives and motivates this person are political stances. Religion takes a backseat to politics. Notice how some people like consciously reject religion, and some people really do keep their religion at the forefront of all of their political reviews or their political views. So people people who are religious like object to abortion because they believe life starts at conception. People who are very religious and oppose homosexuality say that a man should lay with a woman and nothing more. And so I feel like people who are really, personally in my opinion, I'm very religious with myself and the way like I live my life, but in terms of like the things that I vote for and the things that I stand for, if you're a man and you want to be with a man, do it by all means. If that's what makes you happy, then who am I to stand in your way? If you want to abort your baby at whatever term, go ahead, do it. Like if that's what you want to do and that's what makes you happy, like I'm not here to stand in your way. I feel like you have the right to your own body. But like I said, like personally, like I'm not gay. I never could be gay, and I personally could never get an abortion, but I don't feel like my views for myself and how I live my life should interfere with how other people do so. And I feel like religion is, like I said, religion is either the front seat or the back seat. And the degree to which you think about your religion, that's kind of where you stand and how much it affects social activism. So, like, there are Christians out there that think the same that I do. Think that I'll live my life one way and you live your life another way. We'll all be happy. We'll all end up where we're supposed to be. We all sin, you know. And so my sins are not greater than your sins, and your sins are not greater than my sins. But when it comes to social activism, I'm not active with the Christians that want to put down other people. You know, I don't know, we only get this one life. Live it how you want to. If you want to hear about the word, if you want to hear about the gospel, I'll happily share with you, but I just wish that more people put religion at the front for their personal and their religion at the back for their political beliefs. And I feel like most people see it as a one-size-fits-all. If I'm religious, I have to be religious in all things. Otherwise, like, God won't seem the same. Or some people just kind of let it all take a backseat and they're very introverted with their religion. So yeah, that's my opinion.